Eid in Arabic means festival, feast, or holiday. As Ramadan sadly comes to an end, Muslims around the world get ready to celebrate Eid al-Fitr, which is the festival of breaking the fast. So, on Eid mornings, we have a huge breakfast feast. Hi guys, and welcome back to The Passionate Palate, a podcast for food lovers and culinary explorers where we talk about various foods, flavors, and ingredients from around the world. I'm your host, Zay. Today we are going to talk about a traditional Sri Lankan Eid breakfast. It's a very special tradition for my family, so I'm going to share with you what I make for my Eid breakfast. Every year, I host an Eid potluck breakfast. I make some dishes, and my family, my in-laws, they bring their signature dishes, and we have a really fun, delicious breakfast. I start my day early in the morning. I wake up like around 5:30 just so I get a head start. And then around 6:15, I wake up my family, my children, my husband, and make sure that they get showered and dressed and wear brand new clothes because we have to head to the mosque for Eid prayers. A typical Sri Lankan Eid breakfast consists of kiribat, which translates to milk rice, and it's made with coconut milk and rice. And then we also have pittu, which is rice flour and a coconut dish. Then there are string hoppers, which is a dish made out of rice flour, and it resembles a little nest of noodles. Then we have a beef or mutton curry or chicken curry, and an egg curry, which is boiled eggs in a yellow gravy, and lono miris, which is an onion sambal. And then, of course, don't forget dessert. We have sago kanji, which is a sago porridge. We have watlapam, which is a traditional Sri Lankan spiced coconut custard. And then we have other Sri Lankan desserts and Sri Lankan love cake, date cake, and some milk toffee. So I'm going to first start off with kiribat. In my family, I always make kiribat or pittu. I don't do string hoppers as much, but my kids, my family, they love kiribat or pittu. So kiribat is a traditional, very popular Sri Lankan rice dish. It's made with coconut milk. It's really delicious, and it's considered a ceremonial dish in Sri Lanka because Sri Lankans have Sinhalese, Tamils, Christians, and Muslims. We all embrace the kiribat, and it's something that's very, very special to all Sri Lankans, even if they live anywhere in the world. A kiribat is something that all Sri Lankans will always make for a very special occasion. Kiribat is a ceremonial dish. It's made for the Sinhala and Tamil New Year. It's made for special auspicious occasions, the beginning of a new year, for housewarming ceremonies. So it's a very special dish. It's something that I've made. My children have loved it from the time they were little. I make my kiribat with long grain rice. I first cook the rice, and when it's about 90% done, I then add thick coconut milk into it and give it a little stir and let it steam for another 10 minutes until it's fully cooked. When the kiribat is done cooking, it smells so amazing in my house. It has a warm, creamy, coconutty fragrance, and then I spoon the whole kiribat onto a dish, and it's not like your regular rice because there's coconut milk added. It's very creamy, very thick. Then I spoon it onto a dish, and then I just flatten it, and it kind of resembles once you have poured like fudge on a plate. So it's not like loose rice like you're typically used to seeing. Once the kiribat has set and cooled slightly, we cut it into its famous and traditional diamond shape, or we cut it into squares. A slice of kiribat looks like a snow-white piece of cake. This reminds me of a story that happened many years ago when my children were in elementary school. The school organized an event where it was embracing everyone from different countries, and each classroom was decorated according to a country. And of course, my children being in the elementary school, we did Sri Lanka. So it was all about Sri Lanka, all about the history of Sri Lanka. And to make it very special, I made my kiribat and I took it to school. I was a little nervous because I wasn't sure if all these little kids are going to like kiribat, whether they want to even attempt it, because I knew my kids loved it. But I thought, you know what, let me just make a big tray and just let these kids try it out. And I remember the kids came in, I cut it into small pieces and handed it on a paper plate with a little fork. And some kids loved it so much. It melted my heart when this one little boy came with his empty plate and fork and said, "Excuse me, can I have another piece of that?" And I was so happy. I was like, "Oh my God, do you really like this kiribat?" And he was like, "Yes." And he took and he wanted a slightly bigger piece than what I gave him before, and he enjoyed it. So that was a very special moment for me and for my Sri Lankan culture, knowing that kiribat is liked by not just Sri Lankans. So next I'm going to talk to you about my famous beef curry. I make the spices from scratch. I know you get the typical spices that's available in the grocery store, like the Indian grocery store or the Sri Lankan grocery store. In Sri Lankan cooking, we always use turmeric, chili powder, your ground cumin, coriander, black pepper, but we also have a special blend of a curry powder. We have roasted curry powder and unroasted curry powder. And unroasted curry powder is when you take your basic spices, like your whole spices, like your cumin, cardamom, red chilies, and you just grind those with some other spices into a fine powder. A roasted curry powder is when you roast these same spices in a pan, just so that the oils are released and it has a nice nutty fragrance. And then once it's cold, we blend that up into a powder. So that's your roasted curry powder. So I make a special blend of roasted curry powder for my beef curry. I roast curry leaves, cumin, cinnamon, coriander, cloves. I also add some rice, like the raw rice, and some coconut. The fragrance is amazing. And the flavor, once it's cooked in a curry, it's out of this world. So I make a very special roasted curry powder for my beef. I marinate my beef the day before. I cook it in the morning so that the flavors, the spices have all infused into the meat. I marinate my beef with ginger garlic paste and this special blend of roasted curry powder that I make. I also add some tomato paste to give that tomatoey, reddish, delicious flavor. And I have a very special ingredient that goes into this, which is fried onions. I add that into my marination and let it chill overnight. And then the following morning, I wake up early to start my cooking. I like to cook my beef in a pressure cooker so that, it cuts the time in half and the beef is nice and tender. And once it's done cooking, I add some thick coconut milk into it. It is really delicious, and everyone in my family, they love my beef curry. So I make those two dishes. And sometimes I would make pittu. Pittu is a rice flour and coconut dish. It's something that we steam. Once we make the mixture of the rice flour and the coconut, we add some salt, and then we add it to a special cylindrical pot, and we steam the pittu. And then that's also good. But pittu is very heavy. My family finds that, especially when you haven't eaten anything during Ramadan all day, when you're fasting, and then the first day that you do eat your breakfast and you eat pittu, they feel like it's like concrete. They're like, oh, it just weighs us down. So occasionally I would do a pittu because personally I love pittu, but my family loves kiribat, so that's what I make for them. My in-laws, they bring the egg curry, which is a boiled egg curry in a yellow turmeric coconut gravy. It's really, really delicious. It really goes well with the whole breakfast menu. Then I have my husband's cousin. She would bring her famous chicken curry. And then my cousin would bring luno miris, which is an onion sambar made with onions, green chilies, red chili flakes, chili powder, and lemon or lime juice. So it's the perfect accompaniment to this breakfast menu. I love taking pictures of my Eid breakfast table, and also once I plate everything, I like taking a picture for memories. It's something that we do every year for both our Eids, Eid al-Fitr, which is the Eid after Ramadan, and Eid al-Adha, which is the Eid after Hajj. No matter how full we are after an Eid breakfast, there's always room for tea and dessert. When I was growing up in Sri Lanka, we would eat the sego kanji and the watlapam. But here in America, for my kids, they prefer other Sri Lankan desserts like the Sri Lankan cheesecake, love cake, date cake, and a Sri Lankan milk toffee. Those are the desserts that I would make and they would like. And sometimes I would like to make it fancy and make an Eid cake, which is like a vanilla cake with buttercream. It's a Sri Lankan style vanilla cake with buttercream. And then, of course, we would have tea to accompany that. After enjoying a really delicious Eid breakfast, tea and desserts, it's time to exchange gifts. And it's something we all love and enjoy. This brings us to the end of this episode of The Passionate Palate. If you're Muslim, please let me know what you make for Eid breakfast. Depending on where you're originally from, I'm sure there are some special dishes that you make for your family. I would love to hear about it. Maybe share some recipes of what you normally make. I would love to try it out. And if you're not Muslim, I hope you enjoyed listening to what a Sri Lankan Eid breakfast is all about. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comments. Please also follow me on Instagram and TikTok at The Passionate Palate for some behind-the-scenes fun. I would love to wish all my dear Muslim brothers and sisters Eid Mubarak. May you have a beautiful and blessed Eid. If you love hearing delicious food conversations, please subscribe to my channel and be a part of this foodie community. And please tune into my next episode for more flavorful conversations. And always remember, don't count the calories, count the delicious memories.